Welcome to Inspire and Move, the show that inspires you to create, connect, and grow. I'm going to bring you meaningful conversations, aha moments, and all the motivation you need to up-level every part of your life. I'm Ali Aruda, founder of Inspire and Move, and your personal hype girl. I've gone from fashion school to celebrity stylist to corporate marketing to brick-and-mortar entrepreneurship with my husband, each time learning incredible lessons how to pivot, reimagine, and implement the steps to become successful. I'm passionate about inspiring others to live their best life, a life of joy. We have the power to design a life that we love, because life is too short not to. The best part is that you weren't meant to do this alone. If you feel like you are meant for more, let me ride shotgun with you, and together, let's get you to where you want to go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Inspire and Move podcast. It is your host, but party of two, Ali and Matt Aruda in the house. Woo! And we're back in the home studio today.
We are. My
Love
favorite
it.
studio.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
It's cozy. It's warm. We got
You can
dogs.
see my dogs. Absolutely.
That's the greatest.
Fire's on.
All
It's a
right.
vibe.
So today's topic, you came up with this one.
Yeah.
This is a Matt Aruda original, all about assuming the role before you're ready for the role.
Yeah, and I think, this can either accelerate your growth, but if you don't completely understand it, it could also burn you out, depending on where that assumptive component of the role is coming from. So it's worth having a conversation about.
Totally, because a lot of people feel like maybe they need to pretend to be something that they're not. And hey, there's a time and a place for that. When I have certainly done that in my younger years,
Yep.
where I was like, I'm just going to emulate this person or this moment that I absolutely am not there yet.
That's right. Yeah.
Or I think, in certain moments, showing up with confidence and trying to answer in a certain way. But then there's also a time where you want to be really honest to say, you know what, I actually don't know, and I'm going to get back to you.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what we'll talk about here. And so we want to unpack what this really means in things like what we do in the gym every day, entrepreneurship as a whole, leadership, especially for you and I who we're doing this for the first time in our lives every single day too. Like this is a new day every day for us as leaders within our space, the same way it would be for anybody else who's an employee within our space. We're all learning together of sorts, but there's the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it, obviously. So we want to use this as a chat to hopefully help shed some light on what we've seen being successful and what that next version of oneself could be without feeling overwhelming or fake, quite frankly.
Okay, then as a transition, a segue, if you will, where is something where you have had to step into a role before you've been ready?
I don't know if it's necessarily where we are at right now. I feel like over one's life as you get older, and me now being in my early 40s, I think there's been 20 some odd years of life and work experience in different capacities. So you get used to different situations and you learn things that feel familiar from past situations. So the idea of like, I've seen this before. I think I turned left here because last time I turned right and it didn't work out well. So to answer your question, I don't know if there's anything that's glaringly that for me right now, although I welcome it because that means growth. Mm-hmm. But where I find that might be more so in my life was probably in my mid-20s, kind of taking on my first corporate sales role, and it was in the luxury automotive field, and there were a lot of people that had been doing it a lot longer than I have. There were a lot of people that were buying those vehicles for longer than I was selling them. So they could have taught me how the business went, but they were coming to me looking for a level of professionalism and an answer that they expected from somebody who presented themselves as the professional in that industry. And so you almost have to take on the confidence of being that professional before you actually had the chops to back up being that professional. So that's what we're going to talk about, I think, a little bit more so is, the idea of getting into a role or assuming the role for assumption's sake. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about you becoming a fake person and giving wrong answers. And that's not where we're at here. I think it's more of speaking to the fact that before you get the role that you're striving to or that you dream of or that you're working towards, what's important is realizing what the habits are that successful future version of yourself will be, and making sure that you implement those habits right off the bat as often as possible.
I hear that a lot from some of the content that I consume actively. And one of the people I'm really loving, and you know this, I'm loving Natalie Dawson's content
Yeah.
that she talks a lot about. I mean, she and her husband have built a 9-figure business and maybe even multi-figure, multi businesses. But I love her content when it comes to speaking about leadership, business, entrepreneurship, all of that. But a lot of the time, she will also talk about and she's like young to mid 30s. But even prior to that, I think even before she was 30, she was already trying to think about who is she to be the person that she wants to be for the business owner she wants to be?
Hmm.
What are those traits and characteristics? So it could come down to what is it that you dress like? You know, if you were someone who wears sweatpants every day, but you want to be a high performing business owner, entrepreneur, well, then maybe you should trade in those sweatpants for like a pair of sleek black pants with a crisp white shirt
Hmm.
and do your hair and put some lipstick on
Hmm.
and emulating those things. Or, going back to what you were saying about when you were in the luxury car sales, that, maybe you can't go out and buy a luxury car right away if you're just starting out, but at least keeping a clean car
Hmm.
because that is in alignment with who it is that you want to serve and who it is that you want to be.
Hmm.
And I think having those traits and even the discipline, and we see this point blank with owning a gym, that was nothing new for us, for me, because I stepped into that role way sooner than I was ready to run a gym. And I'll never forget that first day of buying the gym and someone coming to me, a member at the time, with a question where I realized like I absolutely have to Google this. I have no idea
Yeah.
how to put a hold on your membership or change your credit
Well,
card.
you weren't a master of it yet, right?
Mm-mm.
You are now, and the difference between then and now is time and
Mm-hmm.
experience. So, you rolling into that same situation today, and you'd be able to do it with almost literally your eyes closed, and you would know how to do it and how to most efficiently do it if it's what was required of you. More often than not, we've also been in a position where we've been able to delegate certain things that we no longer need to do as well, which is great. And that comes again with time and consistency of showing up in the role of what it is you want to do and who it is you want to be in your future self. I think it's almost ignorant to think that through the snap of a finger that you are where you ultimately want to be overnight. It's not possible. Otherwise, we'd all be there already. But we're all grinding. We all have our own story, our own path, journey, whatever you might want to call it. But we're all working, and we're all trying to get to the highest, best versions of ourselves. And spoiler alert, that comes when you've got the ability to put the time in and serve as many people as possible. There's no secret here that the cause of your long-term success is going to be directly proportional with how many people you can impact positively along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But you need the time in order to repeat these actionable events over and over again.
Well, and we talk about this a lot in our Mentor Collective mastermind community about putting in reps.
Yeah.
And that is nothing new for our mastermind community conversation, but it is something that we hear consistently with the leaders that we love and follow, whether we know them or we don't. But putting in those reps that we talk about that day in and day out at the gym, but
Yeah.
also in the world of entrepreneurship, or if it is a role that you want to step into, whether it be the world of fitness or banking or accounting, putting in the reps to make yourself better and taking those opportunities when they come your way, even if they come before you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Were Matt and I ready to buy a gym in 2018 when the opportunity came our way? No. We were preparing for a 5-year plan. We were future planning. And then this amazing opportunity came our way that we realized, wow, okay, this is aligned in, this way and this way and this way. Is it quicker and sooner than we were ready for? Yes. But you know what? We're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to lean on different tools. And we weren't masters of it right away, but that's what comes from taking consistent action, putting in the reps, and committing to yourself to have that discipline to start before you are ready and get better and better and better.
Exactly. And you only have the ability to do this when, the better and better and better only happens when you do it over and over and over. So the ability for you to just know how to do something it's an ignorant thought. It's not a possible thought unless you're born with some sort innate knowing of sorts. You're a phenom in whatever it is that you're working towards. But these are remarkably few and far between. So, the idea of assuming the role isn't necessarily just pretending whether you pretending that you are meant for it already, that you've already arrived where you should. That's not what assuming the role is, but it's more along the lines of committing to the behaviors that can be repeatable over and over again in order to get you to where it is that you are striving to get to.
Well, I think coming from a place of service, and I just had this conversation on a free masterclass that I hosted about visibility and talking about serving your audience when it comes to content. But this really applies to anything that you are doing for business, whether you are product based and you really want to think about the product that you are creating for your customer, you are service based, that how are you showing up and providing that service and experience. So, even going back to the idea of us with the brick and mortar space and benchmark and serving before you're necessarily focusing on what is the revenue that we are generating. You are in business to make business, or pardon me, you're in business to make money. That is,
And to make business, yes,
yeah,
right.
and that is not a surprise. And I swear there are some people out there that actually don't feel connected to that.
No,
And I wish for them that they could, because if you're not in business to make money, then how are you going to be able to impact positively people around you?
that's the second part that is missing. The idea of making money for making money's sake, or to pad your wallets, or to sleep on a mattress full of cash, if that's what they're thinking is what happens, that's where the disconnect happens. The idea of making a great business to earn great money so as to be able to impact a great amount of people, that's the magic, right? And if you're going to put out all the risk and the time and the stress, and in some cases tears, and in some cases blood, for that matter, building, all as a means of providing a space or a product or a service that hundreds or thousands of people can enjoy and have a more enriched life because of, newsflash, you should be compensated accordingly for being the one to say, I'll put my neck out and create X, Y, or Z so that the rest of the alphabet could tag along and enjoy. But what you do with that money is now the difference maker with what kind of a life you can create for the people that are around you. And done properly, the impacts of a remarkably successful business could last literally generations deep.
I think there's also a piece here talking about value. And I love this topic of conversation because you take it in so many different ways, whether it is attending an in person event and showing up in the room and providing value to the people that you are around, providing value to the event host of just showing up with great energy, or your team. And again, a lot of you know that Matt and I own a luxury boutique gym, Benchmark Fitness, and we have worked really, really hard to create the space that it is, and always wanting to provide value. How can we provide more value to our customers? And yes, they pay us, but we are always thinking of like, what is this experience like for the people that are paying us and they are spending good money? We are a choice gym that they can come to. It's not a, $12 a month that this is the gym I'm going to go to. They choose to come and spend their time and money and energy there. So how can we always provide value to make their life and this part of their day the best possible way that it could be?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, because it's like anything else, like any other commodity, you aren't going to be for everyone, and that's perfectly fine. That's not what you should be necessarily leaning into. The value play that you bring based off of your as many reps as possible to figure out what your formula is, what your secret sauce is, essentially. There are people who are looking for that recipe specifically. They're not looking for the one size fits all type of a prognosis. They want something that speaks directly to them. So you realizing or figuring out who is it that you want to serve, and what do you need to do in your life to bring on the habits to make you the person that is the easiest version to then go and serve those people. That's where a lot of the recognition starts at a ground level, right? For you to realize or to understand internally that maybe you aren't supposed to be for everybody, and that's okay. Who are you for, and what habits do those people already have that you're trying to attract, that you're trying to align? Because like attracts like. So if you're looking at people who you want to emulate, you have to almost look at it from a granular level and ask yourself, what do these people do? Who do they hang around? What is it that they spend their time with, and who they spend their time with, that you could then, quite frankly, steal their homework
Oh my gosh, yes, because you're not going to do it the same way.
You're always
So
going to have
use it
your
as
own voice.
inspo.
Absolutely. But if you feel that there's something about that speaks to you that you can put your own spin on, you could provide a different kind of value to, everybody is not meant for everybody, but you are absolutely meant for somebody. So it's a means of understanding that if you are working towards impacting one person, invariably you're going to impact many people because you're just so razor focused, right? Or laser focused on the impact for good as opposed to making dollars for dollars sake.
This is something that I personally am trying to really embrace for 2026 is I wanted to step into a new version of who I am as a female entrepreneur. And we want to grow our business in a different way this year and scale it in a different way. And we're really excited about that. And I feel like in order to do that and to get to that, I need to evolve personally a little bit. And I'm going back to Natalie Dawson that I love consuming her content. And I actually love that she wears black all the time. It's easy, it's chic, everything always matches because everything is all the same color. That I've been starting to think about, like, oh, hey, maybe I'm gonna like re-audit my wardrobe to, have version 1 that is all activewear, Allie. But then there's version 2 that is coaching in masterminds and coaching my own programs and attending events and going to high level meetings. I want to look put together for that.
Of course. People are
And
looking for that too, right? They
yes.
don't want to follow somebody who doesn't look like they're put together.
And you want to be remembered. And this is a big thing that I talk about in my visibility program, which is not what this topic of conversation is about for this particular episode, but just on the notion of being remembered, where you want people to talk about you. And even if it is the fact that, oh my gosh, you know what, this person, man, she's such a rock star and she got thrown into that position and she started well before she was ready and she took initiative and she took action and she was consistent with how she showed up. And that's how I remember her.
Absolutely.
Those are some of the best things that if that's what people would say about me for certain ways, I would love that. And I think that is something that people should want to achieve and how they should want people to talk about them. Not for everyone,
Yeah.
but our people, our
Yeah.
high achieving people, those are our people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as anybody who is listening to this podcast, anybody who's a hardworking entrepreneur, I think they're going to align with this, right? And they're going to want to do the same things that we're talking about so as to get them to the point of being the professional in their field as soon as possible. Because like us, they also want to be an authority, not for authority's sake as much as it is the ability to speak so fluently and so confidently in what it is that you believe in so wholeheartedly that you can't help but impact everybody that comes into your orbit accordingly.
Well, I think even speaking from a place of authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think now more than ever, that's really important because we were just talking about AI dog podcasts before we hit record on this. And like the things that you can see online now and the things that are being created are amazing. And if you're not on the AI train, you should get on because it is moving quickly and changing all the time. But the way that you show up and share your message, whether it is online or in person, just on the riffing on what you were just saying, having that authenticity piece. And sometimes that might require you saying that, like, yes, I'm actually really uncomfortable because I'm not great at this, but it's because I took the action and chose to start before I was ready.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to figure it out along the way.
Hey guys, it's Matt Aruda, and I've got a quick question. Are you building your business or are you building it alone? If you're a business owner making between $25,000 and $500,000 and you're ready to scale smarter in 2026, the Mentor Collective Mastermind is where you need to be. You'll get direct mentorship from Chris and Lori Harder, support from a team of expert coaches, and real implementation support with both Allie and me as your accountability coaches, making sure you actually execute, not just consume. This is high-level strategy, powerful community, and the structure to grow without burning out. If you're ready for your next level of income, leadership, and life, join us for the Mentor Collective Mastermind, because 2026 gets to be different. Yeah, and what will likely pop up for all of us before you even get to the point of that last part of what you said, that last part of your sentence, where you're going to figure it out along the way, and you're going to feel confident in saying that. What will invariably also show up prior to that, because it's normal, especially when you're just learning the different cues it takes to find what the highest level version of yourself is the very real feeling of imposter syndrome.
Oh, yes.
Right? Like you're going to think initially, well, yeah, shit, I do want to be that person, I do want to emulate what I see that person doing, and I want to walk into or step into that role for myself. And I'm going to start these small habits that will stack, that will build, that will get me closer and closer to being the person that I foresee myself being in the future. But that doesn't mean that we can sit here and not feel or know that there isn't going to be the imposter feeling of realizing, or not realizing, of feeling to yourself that what right do I have
Mm-hmm.
talking like this when I've actually never done X, Y, or Z yet? So how would you get past something like that? How have you got past something like that? Because you were once just thinking about being a podcast host. And now you are a couple hundred shows deep, maybe more at this
Mm-hmm.
stage. You've been on other people's top 20 podcasts, literal top 20 worldwide podcasts. You've been guests on. We've had those same people as guests on your podcast. So you're walking the walk
Mm-hmm.
now. But there was a point, if we're going to use your podcast show as an example, there was a point where it was just you hoping for the best and speaking it into existence before it got here. But how did you get past that feeling of, whether it be that or something similar, where you didn't do it yet, but you knew that you could, but until you did, you felt like you were almost faking it?
Uh, Two things. One of which is having you as my husband and my partner. And sorry, ladies and gentlemen listening, that option is not available to anyone else but me. But having a partner that believes in you at your core and maybe even believes in you more than you believe in yourself, oftentimes, because they are going to kick you back in the game. They're going to pick you up when you're having imposter syndrome or you're doubting yourself, and having someone that believes in you truly always. So that is number one. But unfortunately, that tip is not available for anyone else to take advantage of. Option two, this one is much more helpful than option one, is getting in rooms where those people exist. And I'm going to use Christina Bartold, one of our best friends, as that example, who also, her agency does run my podcast. But we met in a mastermind room of 14 people in 2023, and I loved her energy immediately. And you know, one of the things I loved about her was because she provided so much value in that room.
Mm-hmm.
She paid to be in the room. So did we. We all paid, but yet she was showing up and providing so much value.
I remember that girl had tangible advice for every single business owner in there, regardless of their industry.
I actually remember how Christina had her hand up to give me some feedback on something, and so did another lovely guest. And I actually was like, okay, that's nice. Christina, I'd like to hear from you. I wanted to be really polite, but I just remember that moment so clearly. And Christina just always provided so much value. But having her speak belief into me is what really inspired me to take action and be like, okay, I think I'm going to do this. I'm gonna book a photo shoot, and that for me made me excited. Some people might be the last thing they do, but I was excited about that. I started dreaming about all these guests I wanted to have on the show, and figuring out a way how to grow it. And I'm still like early on. I only launched this show in 2023, ironically the same year that I met Christina, but just like months later. But at the same time, look at that. Talked about it in Q1 of 2023 and had it launched at one of my Women Inspiring Women events in Q3.
Well, you move quickly.
I
think
do.
I think that's something we both do very well. And for better or worse, we don't sit on our hands. If we feel it's going to move the needle, we do something about it. And if it doesn't seem like it's going to have legs, we don't stick around letting it drag the rest of what we're doing down. We kind of move, pivot, and reimagine.
But that is such a great point to everything that we're talking about assuming the role most often before you're ready. Because if you take action and you move on something, if you don't take action on it, whether you're ready or not, that opportunity is going to go to someone else.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be left, and there's definitely a saying that I'm trying to remember about something wet blanket in your hands or something like that.
Interesting.
I'm not sure, so I'm just going to move on. And you're going to lose the opportunity because you sat on thinking or imposter syndrome or trying to weigh the pros and cons, and then you're getting in your head, and then all of a sudden you've psyched yourself out of getting this role that you want, that you could grow and evolve in
And learn.
from.
And that's the other part too, the idea of what happens if I do this and it doesn't go well, or I quote unquote fail. What does that actually even mean? Failure only is failure if you tangibly decide not to move forward. If you've decided to give up, then it's failure. But if something didn't work out and you learned from it and you repositioned those learnings into a different iteration of what you sought out to do in the first place, then how's that failure? It isn't. All it was a lesson. All it was a checkpoint as a means of being able to recenter yourself, take a breath, and then move in another direction that is meant to serve you and your community on a larger scale. But either way, the crux of that is that you learned. And if you don't put yourself in a position of learning, how the hell are you supposed to ever evolve?
That's a massive thing in business. And my gosh, we have learned so many things, whether it's, how to write a contract. And I had a Zoom webinar that was Visibility Masterclass that I was so excited to hit record. I wanted to share it with the podcast community. People had asked for the replay link. Guess what I didn't do? I didn't hit record. I was ready to hit record 20 minutes before it started and thought, no, it's too early. I'll do it just a couple minutes before. And I got excited and forgot altogether. But you know what? Guess what I learned from that? A lesson.
But you know what else happened in that? You kicked the crap out of running your first webinar.
Yes, this is true.
So if in the entirety of that process, you didn't press the record button, how, in what world does that trump the fact that what you did was significantly more important through the next 45 minutes anyways?
And that's what really mattered, of showing up for those people and being of service.
But you know what else you're never going to remember or forget to do again?
Hit record.
You learned.
I learned.
See?
And this is a massive part of everything. Whether you're in entrepreneurship or you work for somebody else, you can always learn lessons. And especially if you are aware of, you or have the self-awareness to look for them and recognize them and not be afraid of them. What a beautiful blessing it is to make a mistake or have a failure that you can learn from and you can do better with. And looking at failure even in the world of training, that we'll talk, whether it's, us or with our trainers, about, okay, you're doing 10 reps, okay, your last set, you're going to failure. Now that has such a negative, you think a negative connotation, but you have burnt out these muscles that are working so hard, lifting heavy weight, or perhaps you're progressing the weight to go, quote unquote, to failure. And I mean, you don't want to get to the worst case where you maybe drop a dumbbell on your nose or your teeth.
You know what we do? If I know that my failure number is 15, but I hate that word. I hate the word saying I'm going to failure. I hate ending it by not completing something. I give my last number like something ridiculous. Like my last number is 46. I need to hit 46, knowing damn well I'm never going to get anywhere past 10.
Right.
But I will say 46, knowing that anything above 10
It's great.
is incredible.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to give some tangible takeaways. I mean, hopefully there's been some great value in this episode for everyone and good inspiration to go out, and if a role comes your way that is dreamy, you say yes before you're ready.
Mm-hmm.
I actually felt that way when the Mentor Collective Mastermind
Absolutely.
role came to us. We're like, oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
How do we do this?
You want us to speak in front of dozens or hundreds of people across the world and speak whatever level of articulated business thoughts that come into our mind. Who are we? Uh-oh, there's imposter syndrome again.
Yeah, it came knocking loud and clear.
It sure did, but thank God we took it, right? And we evolved, and we're still learning absolute boatload.
Every week?
Every single week. Wouldn't change it for the world, though.
And guess what? We love it.
Yep.
So on that note, we also love sharing tangible takeaways. So we have a little method that we have prepared.
Little acronym.
Little acronym, which I love. The word ROLE.
ROLE, not like dinner roll. ROLL.
Right.
Sounds
Or
delicious.
sushi roll.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're thinking about.
That'd be even better.
All right, fire away.
So roll, R, replicate behaviors. What does your future self do daily? Start there. So it doesn't mean that you're already doing it in whatever stage of life you're in currently. Think of what the 5-year version of you is down the road. What are they doing on a regular basis? And replicate it.
Mm-hmm. And what do they look like? I love that notion of it as well.
Sure.
Oh, offer value early. Be of service. Help people. Consistently pour into people. And create impact before expanding and looking for recognition.
Absolutely. I think that's a massive one, right? Like the idea of constantly depositing before ever asking for a withdrawal back from your people. Mm-hmm. That doesn't just breed confidence in those people for you, but it also shows them that you are there out of the legitimacy of goodness of your heart.
I realized I said expanding. We want you to expand. It was expecting, not just right away expecting the recognition and gold stars and a thank you speech and all of that. Of just,
Or the raise or the promotion. These are all things that will eventually come in due time. But the harsh reality is that you, to stand out from everybody else, will have to do a lot more for likely a lot longer in order to be able to be given the opportunity to be a bigger a part of that team or the picture or your own future moving forward as well.
I can speak on that one with such confidence that so many amazing opportunities have come either my way or our way
Yeah,
based off of consistency and being visible, which again, this is not a visibility podcast, not this episode, but taking those consistent action steps and putting those reps in and providing value with good energy at the basis
absolutely,
of it.
absolutely. I know, going back to my corporate job and all the relationships I made, all of the deals that I wrote were entirely based on me taking a flyer on doing something that I wasn't necessarily paid for at times that were not convenient, in places that were certainly not convenient, so as to light the way, to create the pathway and the runway to have these relationships and, to your point, these opportunities that paid back tenfold, 20fold, 100-fold thereafter, right? Mm-hmm. Number 3, L. Number 3 is L. That's weird. A number is a
Yeah, I
letter.
was like,
Okay.
understand, I'll just go
So
with it.
L. Learn in public, which is what I just did there, everybody. So learn in public. Growth happens through action, not waiting for you to feel ready. That one's good. Say it again. Growth happens through action, not waiting until you feel ready. You have to start something for something to actually ever get off the ground. All the best intentions will never amount to an ounce worth of actual action.
I say it all the time in the gym and to clients of just, growth does not come from your comfort zone. Change does not come from your comfort zone. We have to actively go out and do things that make us feel uncomfortable. And that's where we grow.
Yeah,
E, evaluate weekly.
this is important.
So this is a reflection moment for you to go back and think about, all right, how did I show up? Who was I? Was I, back to the R, was I that future self person? Was I that future version of myself? And were the actions that I took in alignment with who it is I want to be?
Yeah, and what might I need to remove from my daily behaviors in order to get closer to being that person? You're effectively auditing yourself, right?
Or who?
Or who? Yeah, yeah. When we're talking about evaluating weekly, it's not just evaluating the what. It could absolutely be evaluating the who, and who is getting in the way of you becoming what it is you're trying to become, or who it is you're trying to become.
So I think as we near the end of this episode and tie a little pretty bow on it, we have a closing question for you. Or maybe you also have a question. But I have a question is where in your life are you waiting to feel ready instead of acting in alignment? So is there somewhere that you are not playing full out and you think it's just going to come to you when you're ready, but so often it does not. So thinking about that.
Yeah. Look, your identity shifts when you decide to show up differently. If you're going to remain in the same place and intentionally make the same decisions over and over again, you can't possibly feel like you should be meant for anything different than what you've already received.
Well, and I think even just the notion of taking action, and if we want to even kind of round out this conversation when talking about money, I don't know about those of you listening or watching. If you love money, I love money, and I love it. I want to do great things with it, and I want to make more of it. And the one thing that money loves is speed. So if you are able to take action quicker, you're able to take that aligned action and jump before you're ready and assume that role, even if you're not fully confident of what it is and how you're going to be that best version, do it before you're ready. Take that messy action and embrace that speed of the decision that you made and grow through the motions.
Yeah, man. Grow through action. Let your identity catch up. It will catch up, but you have to prove first that you're willing to put in the work to become the version of that identity waiting for you.
Love that. Great chat, babe. Cheers to us.
Cheers to us.
And if you
Cheers
guys
to you guys.
if you love this
Thanks for
episode,
listening.
We would love if you took a quick action step and left a 5-star rating review, or maybe even shared this with a friend. Maybe there's someone that has come to your mind, sitting on your heart, that you know would benefit from this episode, and share it with them or share it in your stories. We would love that. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much to me if you took a few seconds and shared this on social media, sent it to a friend, or left a 5-star review. There is power in community, and I'm so grateful to have you part of mine.